there are many things I cannot do, but there are many things I can do. And I'm trying to do my best. If a person called Sami Basso is present today, maybe there is a why.
Oh, for sure.
And I have only this life in which I can act as a Sami Basso. I'm living my journey. I cannot teach anything to anyone. I can just live my life as better as I can. And if the people can take something from these experiences, from this experience of life,
From this example, I would say.
I will be happy.
Jai Gurudev, welcome everybody. Today I'm here with Sami Basso from Italy. Jai Gurudev. Nice to have you. And yeah, I wanted to first maybe ask you if you can explain the audience what is your illness or condition. Yeah?
My disease?
Your disease, exactly.
Yeah, my disease is called progeria, or Addison-Gilford progeria syndrome. That is a very complicated name just for saying premature aging.
Okay.
So in progeria, we have a mutation in a very specific point of the DNA, specifically in the gene LMNA. That is a very important gene because it produces a protein called lamin A that is very important for organizing the DNA. And we know that the DNA is what makes that our body and our cells function correctly. And with this mutation, the lamin A becomes progerin. That is a very toxic protein that in turn started to use the DNA in a not proper way. So all the DNA in progeria is used in a worst way. And that is what we usually call aging. But in the case of progeria, we have a premature aging.
Okay.
Because, for example, many symptoms of the people with progeria are very similar to the symptoms of the aged people. For example, problem in the heart, in the blood vessels, in the bones, in the articular capsules, a generalized lipodystrophy. So we have a very complex situation that is very, very similar with the normal aging, but at the same time very different. Because
So how old are you right now?
I'm now 26, and in December, God willing, I will be 27.
Okay, so you're 27, but your body ages much quicker than a normal body because of that DNA. If you haven't really understood the details, he's a scientist, he has studied that very deeply. We have spoken yesterday about the DNA, about all those things.
Yeah.
It's quite complicated, very interesting.
Yeah, it is very complicated. Yeah, you are right. Okay, for understanding why progeria, we have to say that it's premature aging, but it is also different to normal aging, because we have very similar symptoms, but we don't have a proportion. Okay, many other people with progeria have heavier symptoms. Other have
Less
strong symptoms, exactly. So there is not a perfect correlation. And for example, progeria does not attack the brain and the nervous system. That is very important because one of the greatest problem of the aged people is problem in brain, like Alzheimer, Parkinson, and correlated diseases. In this case, progeria is not as the normal aging. And so I have an older body, we can say this, but a normal mind. I'm just a 26 years old guy.
with an older body.
Yeah. And a very stupid 26 years old guy.
No, that's not true.
Right?
A very joyful 26-year-old guy, I must say.
Yeah, I needed to be as a normal person. You know, the disease makes me to grow faster, not because of the aging, but because of the the problems the disease put in my life. But at the same time, I need to do everything as the other, also the stupid thing, you know, to join party, to drink a beer more, you know, nothing of very disturbing, yeah, but just to enjoy my life,
Living life.
enjoy living life. God was always present in my life, not only philosophically, but I gave a lot of importance of God, to God and to my faith in my life when I was very, very young. I was very conscious to be different. I was not as a normal baby or a normal teenager. And yeah, it was something I can saw with my eyes. And really, I was very conscious about that. But there was a point in which I had to face the idea that I was going to die. Because there was the first clinical trial, so the first experimentation with a patient with progeria. And I had to take a specific drug, an experimental one. And my mind started to work a lot, because in that moment I understood that I was going to take this drug because my lifespan was shorter than another person. And it was destroying for me, because I knew that I was different, but in that moment I understood very well what it means. And at the same time, to take a drug for helping myself was for me like to go against God's plan. Because I said, if God created me in this way, there is a reason. And because you know, in the Bible is written that we are created with the same image.
As God.
Exactly. And it was very disturbing for me. At that time I was 12, and I started to destroy all the ideas I had, and
The faith.
the faith. Yes, my faith was completely destroyed, and I started to study all the different beliefs, all the different faiths, different religions. So I studied the Judaism, Christianity, of course, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and many other. And I understood that I was Christian. So I was grew up as a Christian, but then I chose to be Christian. And it is very important for me because the faith started again to be an essential part of my life. And I also understood, thanks to my family and thanks to the many researchers that are working against progeria, that science is a gift of God. So of course I have to accept myself as I am, but I have also the duty to fight for my life and to fight for the life of other guys with progeria, and that science is a gift of God. So the researchers, the scientists, the magicians are not going against God's plan. They are helping God to continue the creation. That's what I believe now. And so to cure a person is like to give food to a person. We cannot live without food, without water. I cannot live without science. Okay? And for me,
that's why you started to study science, and now you're working in that field and doing a lot of an association. You're working on that, which maybe you can explain later. What I just wanted to knock on that, it's like what I think is really beautiful, the thought, you're a 12-year-old boy and you're saying that was the moment where I lost my faith. And basically before, I can't really imagine it, but we know how children are. Children are straightforward. Like if you're different, you get, like, people make fun, and it can be a hard life if you can't do what others can do and whatever. Like, and to find a place where you can say, I accept it because of my faith, because I know God has made me the way I am, and there's a divine plan behind. That's like, no, really, because of course, where you get this faith from, is that something which you had? Is that something which your parents gave you, or is that something which you just, was part of you?
I think both, all the things you said, because surely my family had a great role in this path. I mean, they grew me as a Christian, but not just because we are Christian, just because we are Italian, so we are Catholic. They really transmitted me the faith, the idea that God created us, that God is part of our life, that Jesus came in this world and then died in this world for saving us all. And they grew me with the idea that the Holy Spirit can work in our body. So we can be just the instrument of God for doing something. At the same time, it was a natural predisposition. I mean, I always felt this, I don't know how to explain, it is like a fire, or a better, how do you call the instrument that indicates the north?
Compass.
Exactly. It was like a compass inside myself. That
You are directed always towards, like there was something intrinsically a longing for God, or like a faith to something higher that was already there.
Exactly. It is normal for me also now to take my time for reflecting, for being in contact with God. That it is not something of strange. It is just to be focused. It is to thanks God for the life, for being alive this day, and this is also thanks to Progeria that I understand all these stuffs. But
that you're more grateful for life itself, or for the small things in life, or what do you mean, like?
I'm grateful because Progeria is part of my life, and my past is the only thing I have, together with our present, of course. So, Progeria helped me to be the person I am. And if there was a plane that myself, I don't know if myself is in this world, okay? So Progeria helped this, because thanks to Progeria, I am the person who I am, and that is very important for me. And also the fact that Progeria does not avoid me to have an happy life, or at least to be impactful in this world. There are many things I cannot do, but there are many things I can do, and I'm trying to do my best. And because life is one. Okay, we have different beliefs maybe, of course, but maybe also in a yoga vision, you know. You said me many times that we are just, we are a soul who lives different lives, you know. But in all these lives, the soul is presented as different persons, right? So.
But it's always the same.
It is always
the essence is always the same.
Of course.
Just takes on different aspects.
Yeah, but the person who I am now, can live only this life. Because, okay, if I think that my soul can reincarnate in something of different, the essential part is the same, but the person is different. So if a person called Sami Basso is present today, maybe there is a why.
Oh, for sure.
And I have only this life in which I can act as a Sami Basso.
And you think you're doing a great job in that?
I'm trying. I mean, all the things I learned, I have just learned, but I cannot experience all these things every day, every moment. I have many moments in which I am very sad, I am destroyed, I would like to be a normal person. I asked to God why, but in all these moments I understand that it is because I am a limited people. I am a person, sorry.
So
I am
because you are?
limited. I'm not perfect. So I cannot be always great for this life. I cannot be always in a great connection with God. So sometimes I can believe in God with my heart, sometimes I cannot, and I believe in God with my mind. There are just a few moments in which I can believe with both. I try to believe with both every day, every moment. I try to be the best, but sometimes I cannot do my best. Sometimes I can do my best and I didn't. I don't. Why? Because I have many imperfections, I have many defects. So I'm living my journey. I cannot teach anything to anyone. I can just live my life as better as I can. And if the people can take something from these experiences, from this experience of life,
In this example, I would say.
I will be happy.
Well,
But I'll always say to the people, forget all the bad things. Just take the good
Yes.
ones.
But what I think is very much, and I also told you many times that, and I do appreciate that very much, is all what you, everybody is struggling. Yeah, every human being has their own struggle. Like we spoke about the Bhagavad Gita, the inner struggle. But the thing is, how do we deal with this struggle? Yeah, we spoke about life and death, and the birth and death, not life and death, because life is eternal. It's just birth and death. It's two steps, like the B and the D, and in the middle is the C, right? And what is the C for?
You taught me it is choice.
Choice, exactly. So it is the choice. How do I live life in between these 2 points in this period where you are now Sami Basso?
Yeah.
Which choice do I make? Do I stay at home and pity myself and think how miserable my life is, or how bad fortune, and compare myself with this and this? Or do I accept it as a gift of God and make the best out of it and see, well, why am I in this situation? What can I give to this world? Which impact can I do? Like all the things which you said, you're doing automatically, and I think that's why I'm saying you're doing a great job in that, because by doing that, you're giving, I think, many people who come in touch with you, and you know that because you meet many people, you're traveling the world, giving speeches, and trying really to make a difference in the world. I think it just gives people a different perspective of, it's really a choice. How do I see life? Am I grateful about the gifts, or do I complain about what I'm missing? Do I live it like this or like this? Do I see the glass half full or half empty? And yes, we have imperfections and we can't always see it with heart and mind in a full way. But the effort to really stay positive, keeping the good fight, if you want to say. I'm always making the link to the Bhagavad Gita because for me that is the essential part, where it's like it's a constant practice, it's a day-to-day battle with yourself, and like it said, the greatest fight is with yourself and the greatest victory is over yourself. And I think you're just doing a great job in battling and showing other people to also take on their cross, if you want, like in the Christian tradition, it is take on your cross or help others even to carry their cross.
Everyone has their own cross. But you get absolutely the point of my life, the choice. I'm happy, but I chose to be happy. I think that happiness is a choice too. But sometimes I'm sad. So why I'm sad? Because sometimes I'm not able to take the good choice, you know. And I think that I know how to live with progeria as a baby, as a teenager, but I don't know how to live my life with progeria as an adult, because I'm just 26-year-old, and so I'm just became an adult. And so I have to learn many things. I have to learn many other things from the life and also from the disease. And so I don't know if I will be able to do that, but I'm trying. That's the point.
That's the point.
We spoke about the cross and the Bhagavad Gita, the Gospel. You know, it is beautiful to see how the different beliefs can guide you in the same direction.
There's a unifying factor of like, if you have faith in your life, if you know that there is a higher force, which we call God, that there's a plan behind.
Exactly.
You are like this because
I think that faith and religion must work for making a person the best copy of himself or herself. And I must be sincere. Thanks to the Bhagavad Gita, for example, I understood, and I'm still understanding better who is the Christian God. And yeah, it is just beautiful to see these links, you know. And yeah, and I believe that in any case God is greater than a disease. It is greater also of a religion. It is the absolute. It is the greatest, you know. So also, my experience is just another experience of life. So the disease taught me a lot, but the disease is just a part, you know. I'm not a believer because I have this disease. And people who have not a disease are not less in the spirituality, you know. It is just how a person takes all the stuffs of life, the positive ones and the negative ones, and how he or her or she use these stuffs for going higher.
Would you say that the faith and spirituality or the belief in God is something essential for a fulfilled life? For a fulfilled life, or for a life which actually makes sense?
That's a good point, because I would say yes, but I am a believer.
Well, I'm asking you. So.
But you know, I knew many different people in my life, many atheists, for example, and because they are atheists, they are not less human and they are not less complete. So they live, many of them are living their life in the best way.
Possible.
Yeah, for them. You know, so as a believer, I believe that God is the absolute, and He is able to understand the prayers of a believer. You know, it doesn't matter if Hinduist, Christians, Muslim, Jew, you know. I believe that my religion is the right one, but God is greater.
I also believe my one.
But God is greater, no? Right? So He can understand our prayers in any case. And He can understand also the prayers of the people who are not believer. Because everyone at least have one prayer in the heart.
Prayer? What do you mean with prayer?
Prayer. A request.
Prayer.
Prayer, yeah,
okay.
prayer, sorry. I think that everyone, also the people who believe they have not, but everyone has something in the heart, has
Some longing.
yeah. And I believe that God is understanding everyone. So that's why I cannot say you if faith is
But for you it is, definitely.
definitely. If I have not my faith, I wouldn't be nothing, because the faith is the basement in which I'm building my own life. So
That's what I mean. even what you just said shows me your faith, because the faith says, don't judge not to be judged, and therefore you will not even judge those which you think from your standpoint is not the fulfilling, because everything has its place.
Yeah.
But for you, and that's what I'm just trying to get across, because as we said, you're not a believer because of your disease, and everybody in this world is struggling. Everybody in this world has their fights. How do we deal with that? What is our compass? What is our anchor? What is our safe harbor where we can recharge the batteries, where we can fall down and just be weak also, and just be carried, and if I think, I just believe from my experience also, it's just this higher force. If there is something,
yeah.
if there's a purpose, if there is love.
Yeah, I think that the compass is the faith, but also maybe an atheist has his compass.
Sure, I'm
And,
not
and
arguing
both
about.
are directly the north, and the north is God, I believe.
That is, in the end, life reaches to that. Like when you see in the forest a tree which fall down, if it's only connected a little bit to life, it will shoot up a new branch which goes towards the light. And the flowers on the balcony, they will reach always towards light. Life goes towards the light, towards love, towards God.
And life is a miracle. Also, a scientist must say that life is a miracle, because it is just beautiful. All the creatures are beautiful. And it is very... I love to see how the people can grow all together with different ideas. Not trying to say, okay, everything is the same, because it could be reductive, you know. Yeah. I can believe in what I'm believing without be against the people next to me. For example, I remember when I was 10 years old, I was in Turkey, and with the other guys with progeria and their families, and we go inside a mosque, and there was an imam, and I was the only baby at the time who wanted to go inside. The other one were playing football or other thing, I don't know, but I wanted to visit this mosque, and I'm Christian, but the imam blessed me and in representation of all the people with progeria. And it was great because I don't believe in Islam, but he believes in Islam. And he wanted to give me the best thing he can, the blessing.
That's nice.
I think that's just love, right?
Just love.
Just love.
Giving, and I think that is what you also do in your life. For my understanding, it's a lot of karma yoga, a lot of service to humanity and to the world through researchers and trying to find solutions. Is there anything which you would like, if you would give an advice or sharing which you would like to give to somebody who maybe listened to this? Is there something which you would like from your heart to share to them for their life, to maybe for their process in life? And
I could be ridiculous, but I say never give up. I mean,
say it to them.
yeah, never give up. I mean, from my experiences, from my experience of life, I understood that there are many things everyone can do. As Swami Aniruddhananda was saying, I'm working for I'm sorry, for other people with progeria. We're trying to give them a better life, and we're trying to cure them. So now we know the theory with which we will be able to cure properly progeria. That is great. Now we are understanding how to put it in a practical way and in a medical way. The point is that this is just a cure. So if another person with progeria is not happy, is not accepting himself or herself, extending life or to be normal would be not
fulfilling, not helpful.
Exactly, not useful also. But we want to give them the opportunity to live this life and to experience this life as long as they can, because they can do experiences, they can maturate, they can develop themselves, their soul. And so I don't know which is my advice. Just there is many things we can do for ourselves and from the other, but we have also to understand that we are limited, and that's okay. It is perfectly okay. And maybe the help we can give to a person is just to be okay with himself.
Accepting yourself and accepting life.
To understand where the compass is signing the way. So, there is, every people can do something, also in a little way, also in a matter that maybe people would never know you did. Doesn't matter.
God knows.
God knows. And just enjoy life, because it could be one, it could be
many.
It could be many, but in any case, it's a gift. So enjoy life, or lives.
Thank you very much, Sami.
Thank you too. I'm very happy you to be here and to be your friend.
For me as well. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.
Maybe you want to share shortly about the association, the work you do, if somebody is interested, and like,
of course.
Just, I will put also a link in the description if you give me about your...
Absolutely. My family and I created an association, a foundation, for raising the awareness on progeria and for raising funds for the research on progeria. So we are located in Italy, but we are spreading all in Europe, and we are in a great collaboration with another association in the United States. that is the Progeria Research Foundation, while we are the Italian Association for Progeria of Sami Basso. Yeah, we have an Italian name, but translated is this. And there are many ways in which a person can contribute to our missions, to our purpose. Of course, there can be done donations or events for raising funds, or also conference for letting the progeria to be better understand from the population, but also from the medicians and researchers. And all the funds we are raising are going for the research. So everything, every little donation, every little help is well accepted. And it is very important, not only for the people with progeria, but also for the mankind, because progeria is premature aging, but we are aging, right? So to understand well what progeria is also to understand better what the normal aging is, and to understand how to treat progeria. We can also understand how to age in a better way. You know, it is not just to put a stop to the death. It would be not the case, but just to enjoy life as much as possible. And in health.
In health.
In health, yeah. And together with this, to study a genetic disease as progeria is, we can understand how to manage different genetic diseases. For example, the methods with which we will be able to cure progeria could be adjusted for other diseases. So it is something of very...
It's a big thing. Yeah. There's a lot of work, and Sami is in the forefront. Just finished his studies, so he is a full-fledged scientist, and it's guaranteed. If you want to get in touch with Sami, with the association, like I said, I will put the link in the description, and he is definitely happy to be in touch with anybody who is interested. Anything, final thing you would you?
I don't know, some...
Then, thank you again.
Thank you too.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev, everybody.